One of the most frustrating faults most golfers struggle with is coming over the top and slicing it, leaving the club face open. And to be honest with you, it's one of the easiest things to fix in golf. You just have to know two critical keys that are going to help you stop coming over the top immediately. The first thing is, unfortunately, and what makes golf so difficult, is that it's predominantly a left arm, left-sided dominant game. Doesn't mean the right side doesn't do a huge part and the right arm doesn't do a huge part. It absolutely does. If you've watched the other videos, you know that. But in terms of controlling the club face and the angle and the swing plane and a lot of those things, a lot of it is the left arm that has to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And if you don't know how to use the left arm, that's where the difficulty comes in. And so what I'm going to do today is show you one simple key that if you do this correctly right away, your left arm will change your swing plane and path so that it'll make it almost impossible for you to come over the top. And so what I'm going to show you first is what typically happens, because most golfers play golf right-handed and they're right-hand dominant. So what happens is they way overuse the right side when it comes to the downswing. And so what I'm going to show you is what happens when you overuse the right side and underuse the left. And so, of course, a lot of the stuff on the website is talking about pushing versus pulling, and that's what we're going to go back to now, is to show you what happens when you push with the right side, the right arm, in an effort to try and get power from the swing instead of learning how to get speed and using the mechanics. What you're going to see is it changes the pitch of the shaft, and that's what steepens the plane and causes you to come over the top. So let me show you what that looks like. If I go to the top of my swing with my right arm only, my right arm and the musculature that I have available to use to me here is really strong at doing this. And you can see what's going to happen if I take my right arm and twist it this way, which feels really powerful and trying to get the club to move really fast. The shaft is going to steepen, the pitch of it is, and that's what's going to get me coming over the top and lead to a chicken wing and all these other things. The same thing is true if I want to overuse the right shoulder, which again feels really powerful. I heave my right shoulder at the ball, and again the shaft is now coming out over the top of the swing plane, and now I'm going to come across it again and run into the same problem. So it's almost predominantly overuse of the right side that causes you to come over the top. Now let's look at the opposite of that. If I go to the top with my left arm now, and I try and use my left arm really hard, guess what happens? The shaft shallows out automatically. It's very difficult. It's a very weak, awkward feeling, and you wouldn't do it to use my left arm and try and heave across the ball like this or throw the club into a steeper pitch position. What's going to happen if you pull with the left arm, the club shallows out, and that's how you start coming too far from the inside. But if you're an over-the-topper, that's a dream come true. You'd love to hit a big snap hook, which a lot of golfers are terrified of. But as you start using the left arm, that's what allows you to shallow out. You start using the right arm, you get into that motion. It's very hard to get your right arm to do this, to come from the inside, unless you take this right shoulder and drop it under like this, and then you're going to swing out too severely as well. We don't want to do that either. We just want to learn to use the left arm correctly, especially at the top of the swing. And that's what's going to allow us to shallow out. Now the second key to this is your weight transfer. The weight transfer shallows out the swing, shallows out this pitch of the shaft, shallows out the plane. And all that is going from being loaded up on this right side to shifting our weight back to the left. This little move here of shifting your pelvis from your right leg to your left leg, shifting your weight over, shallows out the shaft. So from face on, it's pretty easy to see. It's just a little move like this. From down the line, now watch what happens as I shift my weight. That's what pulls my arm down. It's not that I go to the top and just rip my left arm down by itself. That's not happening at all. You're using your mass, your body mass, and your weight to change the direction of the club, because there's a lot of momentum going back, so we've got to use some big muscle mass to change the direction of the club. And once we do that, that club will drop down into this delivery position, and that's when we start to fire with the arms and everything else at that time. If you don't shift your weight first, you'll still run into a lot of other swing problems. So it's critical that you put these two things together. You're going to shift your weight and pull with the left arm. Obviously, you know to fire with the right arm. Where you got to learn how to use the videos on the side is when you're struggling with one or the other. So if you need speed in your swing and you use the left arm really well and transfer your weight, that's something you don't struggle with, but you need to get more speed, that's when you focus on the right side movements. That's what's going to help give you speed and energy transfer and those things. If you struggle with plane and path and are coming over the top, typical more high handicap kind of problems, then you need to work on using the left arm and working on your weight shift, and those two things together, the higher the handicap, typically, the more these problems are severe. The more you're going to tend to shift your weight less and not use the left arm correctly. The higher handicapper is going to kind of hang back here on the right side and throw the arms at the top and get stuck back here on the right side because they're creating a lot of force with the arms early that causes the body weight to get trapped back here. The lower handicap guys may be focusing a little bit more on getting some speed back into their swings as they learn to do these fundamentals correctly. So again, 2 keys, weight shift, left arm, and you'll never be able to come over the top again.